Solving the problem of retail returns is the topic of my conversation today with Itamar Zur. He is co-founder and CEO of Veho. Hello, Ita.
Hey, Bob. Great to have. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. So, Ita, what can brands and carriers do to take the hassle out of returns for customers?
I mean, the first thing you have to do is just make it very easy. And when you look at the problem of returns, a lot of people buy things online because they expect that they can try them on and see if they like it or give it as a gift. And there's this perception that if that it's not what they want to keep, they can return it. But nowadays, returns is actually pretty hard. You have to print a label. You have to go to drop it off somewhere. People are busy, right? And because of that, people may not return things. But really, what that creates is a problem where some customers would not place an order at the first place, or would just keep the things on their shelf for 30 days, and then it's the last day to return it, and then they'll return it, and the brand loses the time to get the inventory back and sell it again once again. So it's bad for everybody, right? And step number one is just make it very easy for the customer to return things. Remove the need to print a label, help the customer leave it at the doorstep, communicate, book the return very easily, and that's essentially what Veho does.
And yet, retailers are tightening up in many cases on their return policies. What's the long-term impact of them doing that?
It's understandable that in this macro economy, with the uncertainty about where the market is going, retailers are looking to save money. When we work with our clients, we encourage them to think holistically about the customer experience. At the end of the day, there's a customer acquisition cost. How much money it takes to get the customer to buy the product for the first time. And where the profitability model is on the customer lifetime value. Will that customer come back and buy again? Will they develop loyalty? A lot of times, brands look at returns as a standalone transaction. Let's try to minimize that, limit that. And we're not against it at all. We think that there's a way to help the customer keep the product and be happy about the product. They should absolutely do that. But if the customer wants to return and the brand make it very difficult for the customer to return, then the long-term impact is that the customer may not come back and buy again, right? So at Veho, we encourage the brands to look at the stats, look at the data, and see if you make it easy for people to return their stuff. You can charge for it. It doesn't have to be free, but make it easy for them. How will that impact their loyalty? How will that impact their propensity to place an order at the first place? How will that impact your inventory costs? And then make a calculated decision about whether you want to invest in returns or not as part of the holistic picture.
Even though in the eyes of some retailers, and in many cases accurately, customers are engaging, especially in apparel, in this idea of bracketing, where they'll order multiple sizes of something. They'll deliberately order more than they meant to deliver, and then they need to return it, and then they complain about the hassle of returns. And yet, even in that case, retailers need to take the hassle out of it.
So we think that most of the customers, don't do it. They don't take advantage of the brand.
Yeah.
People do it because it's a necessity of e-commerce. Look, when I go to the store, you go to the store, I want to try out different things. I'm not sure if it's going to be a medium size or a large size, if yellow is going to fit me or red is going to fit me. It is the nature of e-commerce that, we're taking some of the in-store experience, we have to replace it with something else the customer feels comfortable with. And our opinion is that if brands don't make it easy for the customer to try different things, to return the things that they don't like, to exchange over time, if they make it difficult for the customer will choose to continue to go to the physical store. Some of the brands that we work with don't have physical stores. E-commerce is built on the premise that you can have a virtual store and you can have it everywhere. So really, it is not a question about whether to enable the customer to do that or not, but how do you do that in a way that is economical? How do you do it in a way that elevates the customer experience? How do you do it in a way that builds long-term loyalty between the customer and the brand? Because that's where the profit is.
But it requires a mind shift. How can retailers shift their thinking from considering returns purely as a cost center to something that might actually potentially be a profit center?
So one of the things that we advocate for at Veho, we educate our clients, our partners, is that logistics in general, not just returns, has transitionally been looked at as a cost center. And the question has always been, how do you reduce the cost of shipping? How do you reduce the cost of returns? And again, this is a very limited way of thinking about about logistics. I think e-commerce brands need to evolve those of them who have not done that quite yet, in the way they think about logistics from a cost center to a revenue center, to a customer lifetime value center, to a retention center. And when they do that, they then will start looking at the long-term data. When customers receive a great experience on the delivery, when they had a great experience in the returns, do those customers tend to come back and buy again? What is the ROI on those customers? It is the shift from looking at it from a transactional standalone standpoint to a holistic look at the lifetime value of the customer.
So the benefit derives from keeping the customer in the first place, right?
100%. You know, there's a famous saying in retail that it costs 6 times more to acquire a new customer than to retain an existing one.
And it's so fast to lose one. If the customer has a bad return experience, you've lost them.
That's right. There's so many options nowadays. I mean, e-commerce is ubiquitous, you know, and you think about differentiation in that market. It used to be that the product was very different across the board. You go to brand A or brand B, the product is completely different. Products are still different, but now everybody has access to the same manufacturers. Everybody has access to similar supply chain from the manufacturer to the warehouse in the United States. Everybody has access to similar engineering and IT that allows them to build, you know, great websites. So where is the differentiator? The differentiation is around the delivery and the returns, and that is key to keeping customers, because if you don't do that, customers can very easily switch to another brand.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Ita, for these insights into just how returns can be made, could go from being a hassle to a source of competitive advantage for retailers. I do want to ask you just briefly about Veho itself. Where do you guys fit into this picture?
So Veho is a post-purchase experience company that facilitates incredible delivery experiences and returns for customers. We focus on that, what we call moment of truth. The moment when a customer receives a box or returns a box, we facilitate the delivery through our network of driver partners. And in that moment of truth, the customer can take control over their delivery or return. They can reroute a package, they can reschedule their delivery, they can leave instructions. When they return things, they don't have to print a label, they leave it outside the door through the Veho app, they just schedule their returns, and we take care of everything from there. We just make it seamless, and by doing that, we connect the dots and we work with our clients, the brands, to show that those customers have a higher customer lifetime value, 40% in one case, than customers who receive the box from, you know, another one of our competitors, or give a higher net promoter score. It is all about the customer experience and how we translate it into a higher customer lifetime value.
Ita, thank you so much for being with me again. I really appreciate your time.
Bob, thank you for having me.
I've been speaking with Itamar Zur of Veho. Thank you very much for watching.